Welcome to Darling Adventures. I'm Jenny Soloria, and this is First Steps, a series of basic sewing tutorials. In this video, I want to show you the basic sewing tools you should always have on hand. So the first tool I want to talk about is scissors. Scissors are very important, and I always feel that the more scissors the merrier. First, you want to have a good pair of scissors that are just going to be for paper only. This is just an inexpensive brand, nothing fancy, but I only use this for paper. I don't want to use my fabric scissors to cut paper. That's just going to dull them and cause problems further down the line. So when cutting pattern pieces or the tissue paper and store-bought patterns, you want a special pair of scissors just for paper. I have several different size scissors here to cut my fabrics. I would use the big ones for cutting pattern pieces out so I can make nice long cuts, and then smaller scissors to have on hand anytime you're sewing so you can snip threads or clip your corners, just kind of get in and do the fine detail work. Another very important tool to have on hand, it doesn't matter how long you've been sewing, you will rip seams for the rest of your life. You're going to do it on a regular basis. There's times when patterns call for it for certain purposes, like to remove basting stitches. Another cutting tool that's good to have on hand is your rotary cutter with a nice little safety mechanism there, and make sure you always have a good sharp blade. Rotary cutters are going to help you cut fabulous, straight, perfect lines for any of your quilting projects especially, but you'll find lots of applications for a rotary cutter. And with the rotary cutter, you're going to need your no-slip ruler and your self-healing mat. When following some tutorials, they'll just tell you to cut instead of having a pattern piece on hand, they'll just mention to cut a piece 10 inches by 5 inches. So you'll need to be able to measure that. Well, your self-healing mat has all the measurements on it in a grid formation, and of course there's also inches and half inches and all of that marked on your no-slip ruler. You're always going to want to have a ton of straight pins on hand. I have all sorts of different kinds. They're all mixed up in here. These are glass tip. They're just easier to pick up and grab. You can have the smaller ones with no tips on them. And of course your pin cushion. And just like with scissors, I always feel there's never enough pin cushions. You always are looking for pins and pin cushions because you might be at the ironing board and pinning things over there, or at your sewing machine and removing pins, and you always want to have pin cushions on hand to put those pins. And one of my favorite cushions is this handy dandy ring cushion. I found a tutorial online and made this ring, so it's always there right inches away from what I'm pinning, and I love that. It's very handy and fashionable. I always have on hand this hem gauge. I use it all the time. I couldn't get by without it. It's made for helping to turn hems and evenly around the bottom of skirts or pants, but I use it for checking my seam allowances or for turning and ironing edges on a pattern piece. I highly recommend having one of these. Here I have a bamboo seam turner, and it also is used to poke out corners. This is going to help when you have sewn corners inside out, and then you turn them and you can poke out that little corner, make it nice and crisp and perfect. With pattern pieces, they're always going to include marks, maybe for darts or for where to attach, a strap of some sort on different pattern pieces. So you're going to need a way to mark your fabric. This is a little piece of tailor's chalk, so that's nice and easy to use. And these are all markers of different sorts that you can buy at the fabric store that are water soluble, so they'll come off the first time you wash it. So you'll need something dark for light fabrics and then something light for dark fabrics so that you're always able to see the mark that you've made. And then finally, you're going to need some sort of ironing board and an iron. You can have either a full-size iron board or one of the tabletop kinds, but something to press out your seams and to give your piece a nice finished look. Fabric stores are full of specialized tools to make your sewing life easier, but I think that if you have these basic tools, you'll be able to complete just about any project out there. Visit darlingadventures.com for more sewing tutorials, videos, and ebooks. Thanks for watching, and may all your adventures be darling adventures.